You know what? No matter what you do with Manchester United, as a content creator, as a Manchester United fan, here on Forever United TV, I try to always look at the positives. I did that this morning. Brought out the whole positive factor about where this season's going and what we can do, and then bang, you slap straight back down to earth again. I didn't want to, actually. I'm not going to say I want to. I didn't want to be talking about Sir Jim Ratcliffe again. He's done another interview, a brilliant interview with Martin Samuel of the Times, and credit to them for doing this. And the quotes that have come out from it have been explosive. There's no other way you could put it. Some of the stuff that's in this interview with Sir Jim Ratcliffe is to the bone. It really is. Personal side of things, the abuse, the Glazers, what's happening at Manchester United, the threat of walking away. We're going to go through all the big quotes from the interview. We're going to get all your opinions on this as well. I wasn't going to do another show today. I didn't want to do another show today. I wanted to just enjoy my day, my football. And then this bombshell has come, and I am committed to bringing you everything that happens in and around Manchester United. More news and a lot more stuff to bring in the evening show as well, everyone. So make sure you're there for that. But this, I think it deserves a show on its own because, again, this is an owner of Manchester United, Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And everybody knows where I'm at. I'm balanced and I'm fair, and I know I'm fair because I give both sides of the argument. So if you want to have a go at everything that I am saying or feel like I am bigging up something that you don't like, that's fine. Keep it civil. Come back at me. I honestly don't mind. Give me your thoughts. I've had a load of abuse for trying to be positive this morning. I'm used to it now. And that's just the way this club has gone. And everybody's still right. It doesn't matter. Well, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, honestly, right now, I'm just going to give my personal opinion of him right from the get-go before we get into the quotes because he doesn't come across as a smart man. And obviously he is because he is a billionaire. Self-made billionaire. He has worked his way from where he was to where he is now, one of the richest men in the country, and I credit to him, massive credit to him. Well done. But when he comes into the media world, and when he's opening up and he's talking, I was saying to Kaz before, what is his PR team all about? He actually mentions in this in this interview that his PR team have told him not to talk about the Glazers. The fans don't like it. But how do you stop a billionaire that's paying everybody's wages? How do you stop a billionaire that has just come into Manchester United and wants to flex his muscle and is going to do whatever he has done before through his whole career that's got him to where he is right now? You cannot stop Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He is bigger than anybody right now. He's bigger than anybody at Manchester United. He's bigger than anybody in terms of the Glazers and their side of things. And this interview with the Times and Martin Samuel and everything that's come from it, I don't think it's helped him at all. And I think this is the issue with the fan base. And straight out, I look at him and I go, stop talking, Sir Jim, please, for God's sake, you're not helping yourself right now. You need to, someone needs to get a hold of him, one of his people or his reps, and just say, enough, just get on with things. You're just digging yourself a bigger and bigger hole. And a lot of the stuff that he says in this interview is bang on the money. And we all know it is. But he was told not to mention the Glazers, and he's rolled into it straight away. And I'll get into this first of all and where we're at. But that's where we're starting it right now. He's a smart man, but when it comes to the media side and these interviews, he's not coming across the right way for me. And I understand what he's trying to say and what he's trying to do, but I know a lot of this fan base are not having any of it. And that's really it. That's basically where we're at with this right now. So, realistically, what are we looking at right now? Again, this is his third interview now. Gary Neville, the BBC, and in this one in the Times, I think this is the most explosive of the lot, to be honest. Into what Martin Samuel has said and asked, and Sir Jim's response on the Glazers and the Manchester United fans, first of all. If it reached the extent that the Glazer family have been abused, then I'd have to say, look, enough is enough. Enough is enough, guys. Let somebody else do this. This is the whole walk away aspect of it. In terms of the Glazers and the abuse that they've had, you'd have to say, look, we can't do this anymore. They can't really come to a match. The Glazers, they've reverted into shadows, and that's it now. That's their part now. I'm getting all the bloody stick myself, he says. Well, yeah, that's what's going to happen if you try and cover for him. Just say it as it is. We bought in, and I haven't seen them since. Thank you, Jim. You're doing a good job at the moment. I don't have security. I don't have to walk around like that. But it would be. But it would defeat the object, wouldn't it? You couldn't tolerate it if that's level, at that level, it just wouldn't be fun. So basically going into the abuse that the Glazers have had, if it got to that stage with him, then he'd just walk away. You'd be walking away straight away. So honestly, like, what does he mean, the abuse to the level that the Glazers have got? The protests were singing your name. The protests were labelling you just as bad as the Glazers. There's a song that goes around, and at times, and Martin Samuel actually talks about this, there's a song that goes around Old Trafford and all of the away grounds, just like the Glazers, Jim Ratcliffe say, C-U-N-T, like, it's brutal. It is absolutely brutal. And you know what? The Glazers didn't really do too much with ticket prices. You're going to get abused even more than the Glazers, Sir Jim, if you're up in ticketing prices. That's the issue that you're going to have. I know, and we all understand what you have got to do. We understand that you have got to cover all of the mess that the Glazers made. Everybody gets it. I can't honestly answer why we did it in terms of buying into Manchester United. It's quite a difficult question with Nice in the French league. You can buy a club for 100 million. It's much cheaper access. But I don't particularly enjoy going to the matches in Nice because there are some good players, but the level of football is not high enough for me to get excited. Okay, so he doesn't know why he bought into Manchester United. Straight out the bag, really. If he's going to come out when he's going to say it's not for financial purposes, it's not for the business side of things, it's not adding anything to what he's got already. If it's going to cost him money, which it is going to, and it has done already, then it's pure ego. It has to be. And Martin Samuel of the Times has said pretty much exactly that, and I agree fully with him, Martin, in what he said there. It is an ego trip. What? Why would a billionaire buy into Manchester United for other than making money? It's a toy. And that's what he's coming across like at the moment. He doesn't know why he's bought into Manchester United. And again, you could say there might be a plan. But again, it goes back to what I said at the top of the video. Stop talking. For God's sake, like we've heard enough so far. Like, we're used to not hearing from the owners of this football club. So Jim, to his credit, is fronting everything up. But he keeps on doing interviews at the moment, and he did the Gary Neville one, then it was the BBC. So he started off at Gary Neville, then he went to the BBC to give a bit more, and now he's gone to the Times, he's give even more again, and it just keeps on getting worse. But if you don't know why you bought into Manchester United, again, you're going to look like a bit of an idiot to the fan base, and they're going to completely come against you for not being clear as to why you've come into this club that everybody loves. You're supposedly a Manchester United fan. Martin Samuel goes on to say he's not gone down the born and bred Manchester lad route. He's not used that. He's not using it as a business front. He's not looking to make money out of it. So what is it then? Is it a billionaire's toy and just a plaything, an ego trip? It's trendy to own a football club. It's trendy to actually own Manchester United right now. And it's the in thing to do with rich billionaires at the moment. We've seen it across the whole of the Premier League. But right now, Manchester United, I don't know if he feels like he's going to come in and turn United around and he's going to be seen as the saviour for Manchester United, one of these owners that's going to do it differently. He does talk a lot of sense regarding how Manchester United have been run. and that, I think, we'll get onto that in a minute, actually, but I think that's where we can agree with him. But he's pretty much backing the Glazers up here. And on the Glazers, he actually says this. In my mind, we have a very professional partnership with the Glazer family. But have you met them? As in asking the interviewer. They're really honest, straightforward, not what you expect when you read about them in the press. And they're both, Avram and Joel, the most involved in the club. Really? Passionate about Manchester United. I like them as people. To be honest, they could have given us a bloody hard time, couldn't they? After what we cocked up with Dan Ashworth and Eric Ten Hag and that debacle. They could have, but they haven't. They didn't do it. Well, yeah, nice people. I'm sorry on that one. Again, he goes on with the Glazers. We bought in and I haven't seen them since. Thank you, Jim. You're doing well and doing a good job at the moment. I don't have security. I don't have to walk around like that, but it would defeat the object, wouldn't it? You couldn't tolerate that at that level. It just wouldn't be fun. Again, going into it, he actually says that Joe Glazer is one of the nicest people he'll meet, actually. He goes into this and claiming that East Coast Americans, I'll read it to you, actually. They're East Coast, the East Coast American, they're very polite, they are very civilized, the nicest people on the planet. I mean, there isn't a bad bone in Joe Glazer's body. I mean, part of the problem is there isn't a bad bone in his body. Okay, on a personal side of things, I was told by a member of staff who went in the first line of the cuts at Manchester United when the Glazers came in. When Jim Ratcliffe came in. And they told me the difference when Sir Jim Ratcliffe walked into the room and Sir David Brailsford compared to the Glazers, that you can talk to them, they're open, they're asking you what your role is at the club. And this member of staff was high up in the corporate section of the football club, one of the main people there. And they were saying that when Joe Glazer walked into a room, you weren't even allowed to look at him in the face. So this nice guy, not a bad bone in his body, I'm sorry, every single billionaire, everyone who is brutal and a businessman at that level has to have a bad bone in their body. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful. We all know this. We all know that Joel and Avram have not got where they have got today by being nice. Neither is Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Stop trying to pull the wool over our eyes again. Like, honestly, his PR team, and he says this to Jim Ratcliffe, his PR team have told him not to mention the Glazers. And he's going into the full character and everything about Joel and Avram here. It's like, at the end of the day, what can you do? I said it before. The Glazers, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, they do what they want. They're billionaires. They run the ship. They're the captains. They're in control of everything. So the PR team can tell him what to do, but at the end of the day, he can still go above the head and do whatever he wants. And this is what Sir Jim is doing right now. The Glazer approach right now, in not speaking to the fans, probably serving them better than what Sir Jim is in his first 18 months in charge of Manchester United and running the club. It's not looking good for him right now. Let's get to a few of the comments before we move on to a bit more of the interview, actually. Let's get your thoughts in. Please give the video a like. Make sure that you have subscribed to Forever United TV. Get into the chats, everybody. Let me know your thoughts on this. How can more people be optimistic after seeing the interview of Jim, as in the latest one? Is that what you mean, Stu? So Jim wants out. He's sounding like Eric Ten Hag, talking complete nonsense. Philip says, afternoon, Adam. I'm looking forward to the future with Manchester United. The players they brought in 2025 have been impressive. Yeah, me too, Philip. Me too. Jim doesn't give a toss what anyone thinks. That's how billionaires operate. And to be honest, they have to. They have to operate that way in a way to a certain degree because they're going to get the critique coming their way. But Sir Jim's talking about this being getting a bit too much for him here. He's talking about this actually getting to a point where he could just walk away. You have to come out and you have to say, look, if it gets too much, then I'm going to leave. No. Really? He's also said if he doesn't bring success back, if he doesn't actually succeed at Manchester United, he's also going to walk away then. How can you walk away? Like, you've already set everything in motion. If you walk away now, he's leaving us with the Glazers, basically, because they're not going to relinquish their share of Manchester United. That's been made quite clear. So Jim really, again, coming across in an interview the wrong way, saying the wrong things, and whatever team is behind him is not working for him. It's clearly not. Because when he talks about, and I'm going to get to this next point, because this is the bit where he's absolutely bang on the money, and I agree with this, because he talks about who is employed at Manchester United and how the management group has been given a lot of rope. Sir Jim Ratcliffe says, I mean, I wouldn't have tolerated Ed Woodward or Richard Arnold. Richard was a rugby man. He didn't even understand football. Ed didn't have the credentials to manage the club. He was a merchant banker, an accountant. He wasn't a chief executive. He also goes on to say, the way I look at it is you had two management teams at Manchester United for the past 12 years who did a poor job because the owners weren't like, say, Steve Parish at Crystal Palace or Daniel Levy at Tottenham Hotspur. They weren't really into the details. Those two know what's going on. They're there every day, and the management at their clubs and is on a short leash. He's right in that there. The management of Manchester United have been given a huge amount of rope. The owners just managed the club and left the football side alone, and they've made a lot of poor decisions for 12 years. Stupid things. They made a couple of cock-ups. They made a complete cock-up of it. To that, shocking, really. They couldn't see where they were heading, and again, it's it's not just that he's talking about there. We all know about Ed Woodward. We all had the concerns at the time, not being able to get transfers done, dealing with the football side of things for the first time. We all knew that Richard Arnold wasn't the right man. We all knew that John Murtough wasn't a director of football. And this is the only time you're ever going to get Sir Jim Ratcliffe going in on the Glazers in any way. And it's not directly going in on them. It's just saying the people that they employed have cocked up Manchester United's football side of things. Because Sir Jim Ratcliffe also says in the interview that the Glazers did do well commercially at Manchester United. Now, there's not anybody on the planet, even the biggest Glazer haters, that can say that they didn't do well commercially for Manchester United. They just abandoned all of the football side of things and went fully on the commercial side of the football club. And it is embarrassing. It is really embarrassing. And he is right. He is definitely right. And one of the other things that he also did say and go down the road of, and this is another thing he's right with Sir Jim Ratcliffe here, I like David Moyes and I think he's a really good manager. But to go from Sir Alex Ferguson to Moyes is not where I would have gone. Moyes stepped into the shoes of Ferguson, who won the Premier League 13 times, who won the Champions League twice, and you're handing it over to a guy who's never managed big players and had never won anything. It's true. He's not necessarily got the personality to stand in front of them all. And again, it's like you needed the best chief executive and the best manager in the world after Sir Alex Ferguson and David Gill left, and United didn't do that. And they continued to make mistakes after that. And that's what he's saying. And he's right in what he's saying there with that. Quickly on the Glazers again, just to go through everything here. I'm trying to cover absolutely everything, the main points from the interview. I'm going to get a big section right at the end here now when we can get your comments in on this. To be fair to the Glazers, they're really good on the commercial side. The people who advise me say the fans don't want to hear it, so I've got to be cautious. I get a lot of criticism if I support the Glazers, but the fact is they're really decent people. So in one paragraph there, in one quote, he says, "Yeah, I was told not to mention the Glazers because the fans don't like it, but they've done really good commercially and they're really good, decent people. So really, listen to your PR team and completely ignore them and talk about the Glazers and how good they are." Yeah. And he wonders why he gets the stick that he gets. Read the room. Seriously, read the room. You're about to heap a load more debt onto a football club that is already riddled with debt caused by the people that you're saying are really decent people and are really passionate about Manchester United. No, Sir Jim. Just stop talking. Don't mention the Glazers. Just say in the interview, I cannot talk about the Glazers for obvious reasons. We're here now. Like he did against Gary Neville. Just say we're looking to the future. It doesn't matter. But now he's done this. That's just going to ring true with every single Manchester United fan. All the match-going fans are going to jump on board with that one. You're going to get the chant sang. If they ever see you in public, you're going to get hurled abuse at. It's not going to stop. So the question is, are you just going to walk away then? Because right now, if it is going to get too much for you, and you are going to make a decision because it is getting to that level, then you might as well just leave now because it's only going to get worse. You're not going to get an easy ride from the fan base because you've kept the Glazers there in the club and that's all they see. Everything about Ed Woodward, everything about Arnold and Murtough and all the mistakes and the rope that they were given. Sir Jimmy's bang on the money. Dead right. And we might not be in this predicament if we had more capable people working in positions that they should have been working in. But it's all right saying that was dead. The debt is still there, Sir Jim. The Glazers are still there. We're still struggling. We're still poor on the pitch. We're still where we are right now, which is sinking financially off the pitch because of them. There's no get out for you. Everything that you say about them in a positive vein is just going to go on deaf ears. And all it's going to do is go into the memory banks of every single Manchester United fan and used against you. And that is something that you can't avoid. I wish he didn't do the bleeding interviews now, to be honest. Honestly, out of all of them, I don't think he's come out well. Everything that he's said positively and he's right about, and what I understand and what I've been balanced about, I get it and it's good, but it's been completely swamped by everything else that he said, and that's going to be the narrative run, and that's going to be what the people with the agendas are going to use, and they're going to keep on going in at him. And there is no way out of this for him. There isn't. The only thing that's going to stop this is if United are successful on the pitch because of what they're doing, and that debt comes down because of what they're doing. If it doesn't, and it doesn't seem that way, and the figures keep coming out and United are still not performing on the pitch, you are going to fail. It's as simple as that. And where he needs time, I feel, he does. We don't need to see Sir Jim Ratcliffe this amount of time within 1 week. He doesn't need to be talking this much, and I think he's just digging himself that hole that I talked about. He really is. Right, let's get to some comments on this now. Anything you want at all, everybody. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me on everything and every point, but it is quite open. It's eye-opening, isn't it? The interview and what he's been saying, and I just don't think it's gone well for him, this one. I really don't. I don't think the others were absolutely perfect interview-wise, but this one I think is, in the way he's talking about the Glazers, decent guys. No one's going to have sympathy for Sir Jim Ratcliffe because he can't look at the newspapers anymore. We don't really care about that. He's saying it in tongue-in-cheek and he's trying to laugh and joke everything off, but let's be honest. If you're looking at this and what he said about Nice as well, and if you're a fan of Nice, he cannot be bothered going watching your games. Fans pick up on this. It's honestly the PR. Shake him down. Again, I'm arguing against myself here because I'm looking at his PR here and I'm going, don't talk about the fans. Don't say anything about the other football club. Don't talk about all of the mistakes. It's good to own up to a few things, but my God, he just laid it all out on the table. If you're a Nice fan right now, you've got your sniper rifles out, haven't you? You're looking for him. You're taking him down at this point because it looks like he can't be asked for that football club. And everybody's had an opinion on Nice and how they've run that place. Manchester United is a completely different ball game. He actually says in this interview that the only way you can make profit from... Well, actually, no. That Martin Samuels, to his credit from the Times, has brought up an old interview with Sir Jim Ratcliffe where he says it's pointless buying a Premier League football club right now because there's no money in it. The only way you can make money from a football club is taking a team, let's say, from the Championship and building them up gradually. So why has he bought Manchester United? And again, that was the top question that I started with at the top of this show. Why have you bought Manchester United or bought into Manchester United? That's a difficult question. I'm not too sure at this point. No, you bought Manchester United because you want to turn the club around from this demise that we're in the middle of right now. You want to actually be part of turning this football club around. That's what you're supposed to say. You're a United fan. You want to get things rolling again. You want to turn Manchester United into what he says in this interview, that the missing out, the club that is falling behind. He talks about the data side of things, the data revolution within football, what Brighton picked up on, what all the other clubs in the Premier League picked up on. Like the Brightons of this world, the Bournemouths of this world, Manchester City, Liverpool as well. Like the data revolution that United ignored. And what everybody's into. We've fallen so far behind on the football side of things at this football club. It's absolutely embarrassing right now. And he wants to bring that back. He wants to bring Manchester United back. That's all I needed to say. He felt like the club was dying and he wanted to help in bringing us back to the glory days as a United fan, as a kid. We've heard all of that. But to come out and say he's not too sure is a difficult question. While you've just spent over 1.3 billion going into Manchester United, why? And you can't answer that? Yeah. Kind of makes it look like you're just on a bit of an ego trip and United is just a toy to you and you just want the rights and the bragging rights, and like it is with other football owners right now in the Premier League. It's just about owning more and more and more and being able to say that you own more and more and more. And that's all it is when you get to that level of billionaire. It's just another bit in their portfolio. It's just another business. And they are running it like a business at the moment. They're streamlining it like another business. Football-wise, I do think they've made some good appointments. I think they have brought in some decent people to run Manchester United. And it is totally different. But, again, all of that, with the fans right now, goes out of the window because he's bigging up the Glazers. Don't mention them. He was told not to mention them. And Anyway, comments, let's get in. Jeffrey says, don't get how after moaning for years about being poorly run, some fans can expect someone doing it properly because it's not what they thought. Sir Jim isn't even a United fan. No United fan will talk smack about the club. You can say there's different levels of fan, isn't there? There is. We all know this. There are some just comfy fans that just tune in for the football, don't like to talk much about what goes on behind the scenes. There are some that it's deep within their blood and in their DNA, or they can't miss a game. There's all sorts of different fans. And honestly, when you're owning a football club, I don't necessarily feel like you can be a fan. You cannot enjoy being the Manchester United owner. You can't. There is nothing there for you at all. There's too much to do at United to be a fan. And it kind of comes back into what I was saying before. Why did you buy Manchester United? Well, actually, it's probably not the right thing to say because you're a fan. Because no one's going to believe you. That's pretty much it, isn't it? Sir Jim will be buying more Glazer shares. Funding for the new ground will need to bank loans. The banks will insist that the Glazers are no longer majority holders before a loan is sanctioned. Real Recognise says, he's talking to someone else here, we most likely end up with some faceless American investors. At least Ineos are trying to sort the monumental mess the Glazers have caused out. It's true, they are, but you can't big up the Glazers in an interview as well at the same time. I think that's definitely something you can't do. The Glazers destroyed United. It should have been impossible. I blame the Premier League, the FA. They're protecting clubs now. Where were they when we needed them? Yeah, we said that many times before, haven't we? Almost at 200 live likes, everybody. Get them likes in, please, everyone. Really appreciate you joining us. Extra little bit of content today. Something I didn't think I'd be doing. But we are talking about that interview again. Sir Jim Ratcliffe talking about his time so far at Manchester United and the plans for the future. In terms of the investment for the stadium as well, just to go in on that one, I'm just going to bring it up now. 1 second, I had it here. Yeah, right. So, the business, I mentioned this morning, the business, which is an account on X. According to sources familiar with the financial market who asked not to be identified, lenders could raise between 1 billion to 1.5 billion to finance the new 2 billion Manchester United stadium, meaning 500 million of that would need to be raised through equity sales. That's the general sort of financing side of things. Omar Barada was talking about this before at the start of the game against Real Sociedad. It didn't really have any answers to the questions. Everything is open on the table at the moment, and they're speaking with many different types of financing options and people, and there's nothing there. Like, the idea and the plan is there and that is in place, great. But all the questions are going to be led down that same road now. And they're all going to be right directly pinned to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Who's paying, mate? That's basically it. Who's paying? 50 years ago, when I was in my teens, I got a dose of... All right, okay, I'm not going to carry on with that. He's referencing the Glazers and Ineos, but I'm not going to go down that road, actually. I should have looked before we actually went into that comment there. But, yeah, kind of know where you're coming from, Richard. But, yeah, we'll ease off on that one for lunchtime today. Why do we refer to Sheikh Al Thani as Qatar? We don't refer to Sir Jim as British. I'm not sure what that's all about, mate. Let me just see what we've got. Plenty of different conversations going on in the chat here as well. Thank you, everybody, for keeping it PG as well in the chat today. It's a difficult subject to talk about because there is a lot of hate for the Glazers. And while Sir Jim is in team with them, the hate is going to come his way as well. It generally just... I don't get how he can actually come across and say from this, if it got to a certain extent, as in the hate and the abuse like the Glazers have got, then it's probably best to walk away. You might as well start walking, Sir Jim. Honestly, because you're not. It's not going to ease up at all. It's not going to ease up. Look, if Manchester United start to be more successful on the pitch next season, it will ease. Success on the pitch drives every single positive throughout this football club. And only when United are winning will we ever see any pressure off or any sort of good news or vibes off the pitch. It's as simple as that. It is. Success on the pitch brings you Champions League. Success on the pitch keeps the fans happy. Success on the pitch helps fans accept that ticket pricing does go up a little bit as well. Success on the pitch means that people at the football club are actually running it the right way. And positivity comes from that. If it's not right on the pitch, then every single part of this football club will be scrutinised from top to bottom. It's just the way it goes. It's Manchester United. So Jim Ratcliffe talked about how Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona always stay at the top. They always look at the next decision as the big decision for the size of this football club. And that was in relation to the David Moyes side of things. Do you think that Real Madrid would have picked a David Moyes type manager after a Zidane or an Ancelotti left, for instance? No, they wouldn't. And their model has always kept them at the top. And that's something that will always nag a lot of Manchester United fans. And I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe is right on that side of things. Decisions were wrong. I didn't think David Moyes was the right fit at Manchester United at the time. I think every United fan knew that wasn't the right thing. And that is what he's alluding to a lot as well in this interview. It's mistakes that were made before and we're just trying to fix them. Yeah, we know. We know what the Glazers were. And we know the problems that they've caused. But while you're covering for them and taking the flak for them, like you said, well, they sit back in the shadows now, then you're the one who's going to get the stick. And you're just going to have to accept that. You're going to have to accept it. Glazers will not relinquish majority control unless they sell out completely. Radcliffe is the enemy, not this saying some of you're trying to sell him out to be. Didn't make sense there. They're not going to relinquish majority control unless they sell out completely. Radcliffe is the enemy, not this saying. Not this saying this. Some of you trying to sell out to be. I'm not sure what you're going on about there, mate. Sorry, it didn't come across well. Afternoon, Adam. Let's see if the Reds can make our weekend for once. They will. We'll beat Leicester tomorrow, mate. 100%, and that's what we need to. We need to be winning. If we win at Leicester, we're in the Europa League. All of this talk starts to be diluted and all the negativity starts to fade away. United are doing a better job on the pitch again, and that's all that matters to the fans. If they see positive progressional football, no one cares about anything else. And that's just the truth. It is. Because nobody was talking about the Glazers when we was lifting titles under Sir Alex Ferguson, was there? No, we're all celebrating the great team we had and the success of Sir Alex Ferguson. Brilliant. No one cares. But we only care when everything is wrong. And that's always going to be the way. Jim is an idiot if he thinks he is going to talk this way out of sucking the life, I think he was supposed to say, our life out of United. It's to be honest, paid the Glazers his money to be here. Let them get all the abuse. May a bullet too. We don't want anyone to die, do we? But yeah, I know what you were referencing to there as well. I think a season outside of European competitions will give the manager time to train the team. Obviously, the loss of revenue will be an issue. Oh, it will. It definitely will, Jonathan. We'll see how Manchester United cope when it comes to the situation with no European football. That's a lot of gate receipts to miss out on. If I fail, I'll step down, but I don't think I'll fail. As soon as we start playing good football and start winning, it will change. Yeah, it will change. I just said that. That's the quote again from Sir Jim Ratcliffe in threatening to step down from his role at Manchester United. But we will see. We will see. How long is it going to take? Does Sir Jim Ratcliffe step down in 3 years because that's when he said Manchester United will be playing better football again? I actually do believe next season is the easiest season that we will have because we cannot get any worse than this season. So next season's automatically going to look like progression in a way. Hopefully it can be big progression, but I think anything next season is probably going to look better than what this season did. And that's what you're up against. I think that's where this fan base is at right now. We can obviously have our expectations, but I think we do need to curb them a little bit. Like, what is progression for next season? Say we finish 13th or 14th this season. And then next season you're going in, you don't have European football, for example. What is a successful season next season for United? Winning a cup? Being in the top 10? Like, you could say we've been in the top 10, and that's better than the previous season, so we're on the upward. But still, top 10 doesn't get you back into Europe. It means you have to win the FA Cup again. And everybody else is going to be spending a lot of money, improving, and there'll be better teams in that FA Cup than Manchester United. So that will be 2 seasons outside of Europe. And definitely another option, definitely another possibility to get into Europe again the following season is gone by not being in a European competition as such next season. The longer it goes on, Manchester United without Europe in one season could lead to 2 seasons without European football. Effectively, what we're saying is next season United need to finish in the top 5. Otherwise, we're relying on the FA Cup to get us back in the Europa League. And that's with that 4-year prediction on finances and everything that's the Ineos model is looking at, because they've said the next 4 years, the projection financially is based off that and what United are doing, continuously being in the Europa League. I don't know. It doesn't seem to fit very well. It doesn't. Anyway, I'm going to finish up there, everyone. Football is about to get kick-started for the day. We will be back later on with more Manchester United content, as always. Just a quick-fire show, even though it went for like 30-odd minutes. Sorry, everyone. There's a lot to get through there. Just wanted to give my opinions solely on Sir Jim Ratcliffe and what actually went down in the interview today. Quickly, I think we have got a super chat that I might have missed there as well. Jensko has just renewed his membership 15 months. United have bigger problems than Sir Jim and the Glazers. I don't think so, Jensk. Chris, another one who's just renewed his membership. So 3 billion in debt, sure. Radcliffe sympathisers, Chris. Tom says, big up Adam and Kaz, just renewed his membership 15 months. Then we got Jens with another super chat who also says, we have bigger problems than Sir Jim and the Glazers. Do we? Where? They're the ones that have caused the problem. Well, the Glazers have definitely caused the biggest problem at Manchester United. Nobody can say that there is a bigger problem at United than the Glazers. We did have a poll running as well. Do you think it's good that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is doing interviews? Yes. 47%. It's about time, they say. No, he is making things worse. 29%. I don't care either way. 24%. I'm going to finish that poll up there and wrap up the show, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I will be back after all the football today, live again this evening. 3 live shows on a Saturday. God, what is this club, honestly? It never stops, does it? But for now, that's it. Thank you, mods members. Cheers for coming in and helping out on that extra show today. Go and have a rest. Go and enjoy the football. And I'll see you all later on this